Um, so welcome. This is completely cool. I'm tech support with this whole initiative. It's Scott's model that people are using as a starting point, and we have tried a number of different ways to sort of do trainings. And then last summer, we hit on doing a condensed model, 3 days, 2.5-hour sessions, morning, both in the afternoons to accommodate West Coast folks. And it worked really, really well. And we asked folks what they'd like to do kind of moving forward. And they said, let's get together, maybe once a month for, September, October, November, maybe even December, but certainly that part of the semester to kind of see how it's going, to kind of like, says this course model means students are launching campaigns that they choose by about mid-semester. But if you're a couple weeks in, most the ideas they've probably they need to sort of chosen their campaigns. So even this early, there's interesting stuff to share. We, as you can tell, well, maybe you can't tell, but we put the invitation out over a couple different places. So anybody who's sort of part of the social action listserv or our Bonner Learning Community platform, within the Bonner network as well, there's another way people heard about this, inviting folks in to just kind of listen in and maybe pose your questions as we go along. So we didn't anticipate lots of other people coming. We thought it'd be sort of just the folks who are actually teaching this semester, but it's really great that we have more folks, because our goal is it's not a modest goal. I don't want to pretend like it is, but it's basically every campus, every semester has at least one course on teaching social action where students are doing social action through the course. And if we did something that direction, that we call that mainstreaming, something that's really needed and necessary. I think the summer worked well, so we kind of feel like, okay, finally maybe we'll get some traction on this. And I'm going to share my screen, and and I'm going to do this one more share. So I know so those who just arriving, if you go to the chat, there's a link. I'm uploading it a second time to the mural board, which is what we're using we use this summer for the conference, or for the institute, I guess we're calling it. And now we're using it. We thought we would just go ahead and use the same thing for these sessions. Let me just give you a quick kind of run through of how it's organized. Oh, good, Marshall's coming. Apologies there. Okay, so just real quickly on the organize, then we'll go through it. So we have on the right-hand side, if you can see this is where we have the outline, and you click on something and it takes you to that section. We're going to go through, we're not going to go through everybody's thing, but we're going to go through those who are here. But if those who didn't attend the summer session, you can actually see the agenda for that. This second part, you can see a sample campaign, the sample course plan, which is Scott's course, sort of converted to this design we used. We talked a little bit about how the flow of that model works. We've shared lots of resources, and we keep developing new ones. And then we just literally had one person after the other develop draft during those 3 days, the initial plan for their course. And if they're teaching this fall, we've asked them to share their syllabus, and we've gotten a bunch of those in, and we're sort of landing those on the top left here. But in the interest of making them both to see them all in one place, we've also put them right down here. So here are the courses for this fall, right here, for folks to also get a glance at. There's 8 of them up on the board right now. There's a few more that we're waiting to hear from down here. So for this first meetup, the agenda pretty simply is to do some introductions or reintroductions, whichever the case may be. Those folks who are teaching this fall, to sort of go around the room and sort of say, how's it, how's it going? Have you identified the campaigns? Have some demands? Have the students done that kind of work yet? And just so what's the flow of the class look like at this stage? We'll do that sort of that's sort of what's happening. And then we'll get into a discussion about what seems to be working, what's challenging. And that'll probably take most of our time. We're gonna have a winter institute for those of you who missed the summer one. We'll do something. We'll replicate it again this winter, January 3rd to 5th. The way the mural board works, if you put your mouse over here, if it's a link, you'll see it right there. So you can actually open and get the description of the Summer Institute and the application link there. We have an application because it's very important that folks are working on the basic common expectation that this is a course model where students are going to launch campaigns, join one or launch one. And so it's a little confusing to have folks not doing that. So it's just easier for us to have people doing sort of basically the same general model. Although the details would change quite a bit between schools.
Bobby, can I say one thing about that? Just to make sure people who are teaching it right now, please send that, that invitation to colleagues. We all kind of know, I think we have a good idea of who those 3 to 5 colleagues might be who'd be interested. Maybe send it to a dean and invite people to that, because I think one of the powerful parts is to get a cohort. We now have 4 faculty teaching this semester at San Jose State, 3 more next semester. And so we have a little group on our campus. So while we have the large group with you all, we also have a little smaller group, and we plan to be meeting as it comes. And I think that would be nice. It also guarantees that a social action class is happening every semester on your campus, rather than you being the only one having to do it. So please send that invitation out to your colleagues, staff and faculty.
Great. And then the last thing just on this opening is that these 2 are doodles for when we might want to hold this session again a month from now in October and another month in November. So we can do the doodles. The goal right now is to have we've done this a couple of times, this National College Summit on Social Action, where students could basically sort of share what they're up to with their campaigns. We've done that a couple times to accommodate everybody's busy schedules. We actually do that in the evening on the East Coast and late in the day on the West Coast. So this is Eastern Standard Time. So with that, I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to call on people. We'll go around the room and just introduce yourself. And if you're new to the group, let us know your interest in coming. If you've been around, let us know if you're actually teaching the course or planning to teach the course, just where you are in that part of the process. I'll call on names, and I'll start with Kevin and then go Stephanie.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I teach at San Jose State in the Justice Studies Department, and I am very interested. I haven't gone to the workshop, so I just wanted to log in and see how people do it and what their experiences are, and go from there and see if I can incorporate maybe a portion of it into some of my Introduction to Human Rights classes.
Great. Stephanie, Adrian, and then Aaron.
Hello, everybody. I am Stephanie Cage. I am a full-time staff member at Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee. I serve as the Associate Director for the Lynn and Henry Turley Memphis Center, which is sort of our regional Southern American Southern Studies office. But I also serve as affiliated faculty for the Urban Studies program. So I am here to learn from you all. I started the Social Action Institute, I think last year around this time, and then the semester just kind of got away from me. And so I'm coming back because I am interested in teaching a social action course in the spring of next year. So I will apply to join the Winter Institute. So I'm kind of wearing multiple hats here. I'm also here to learn more from you guys, what worked well for you or what's going well for you for those of you who are teaching this semester, because my work also helps to recruit faculty to come and do this kind of work as well. So thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Great. And my name's Erin O'Hanlon. I'm at Stockton University, which is in Southern New Jersey. I am here to learn also. We don't currently have this class, but I'm trying to find out everything I can to be able to recruit faculty. I teach in the School of Communications, but I manage service learning as well. So I'm, invested in trying to, this is always just good information to have, generally, as, community organizers. And I'm trying to see if I can find a faculty member that's going to be a potential recruit that I'd like to join for January's training session.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Me.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. My name's Adrienne Griffin. I'm a staff member at Baldwin Wallace University in Berea, Ohio, and I work in our Brain Center for Community Engagement as our social innovation manager. And I currently am teaching a co-curricular program that's a year-long program focused on kind of social change more broadly. We've been doing this program for a couple years, but I'm revamping it this year to use more of Scott's books and have a stronger social action focus. And the students throughout the year work on a change project of their own. So I can talk about that when we get into it too.
Great. Thanks. Walt, Robin Moore, and Ann Weitzel.
I'm Walt Pickman.
Hey, you guys. Oh, Walt first. Sorry. Oh, that was me.
It's okay.
Sorry, I'm Walt Pickman at Bluffton University. I am teaching a community practice class, and my students have already selected their campaigns. We, on the second day of class, 2 Thursdays ago, had a number of folks that came in and pitched campaigns. We actually, the first day, started talking.
Well, hold off on that part because we'll do that the second round.
Yep. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm doing social action this semester, and it is off and running.
Awesome. Robin, your turn.
Okay. Sorry about that, Walt. I'm Robin Moore, and I work at Athens State University in Athens, Alabama. And I work with the provost, and we are starting a community engagement office and really trying to get ourselves together. And we do want to add this course. And so I'm here to learn as much as I can, and then hopefully be able to recruit several faculty so we can offer it at least every semester. So that's my plan and what I'm looking forward to.
Thanks, Robin.
Hi, I'm Ann Whitesell. I'm an assistant professor of political science at Miami University of Ohio. And this semester, I'm doing social action in my health policy class.
Great. Lucas, Paul, and then Ruth.
Hi, everyone. I am Lucas Hatton. I am teaching this semester a course in communication studies at San Jose State called Activism, Action, and Resistance that had been lying dormant for a few years from a retired lecturer. And my chair said I could teach it. And so then I did the institute this summer, and now we are off and running. So students chose their campaigns Wednesday, which was really exciting. And I'll say more about that later. Happy to be here.
Great.
Hi, I'm Paul Simpson. I'm the director for civic learning and adjunct instructor in political science and social justice and civic engagement at Dominican University. And I'm in my first few weeks of using the framework of social action for the social change methods course that I'm teaching. That's actually connected to a year-long program.
Fantastic. Ruth?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ruth Yanish, and I'm also receiving the dreaded "your internet is unstable" message. I'm hoping that keeping my camera off will will give some stability, but I'm grateful to be with you all today. I'm an associate dean at Macalester College and I co-direct community engagement. We had a faculty member participate in this cohort last year out of our political science department, and I have been connecting with several other faculty at Macalester in hopes that we will keep it going. And unfortunately, we had folks who are teaching at this time, so I said I would be happy to hop on, make sure it's being recorded, gather some information so that we can meet as a small group here back on campus. We'll also be having our faculty engagement associates start in another week and a half, and I love being able to point her to this example to share more broadly with faculty at Macalester.
Great, thanks. Jolynn, Elena, and Ariane.
Hi, I'm Joe. I use she, her pronouns. I'm at Hiram College in the Department of Sport Management. I'm assistant professor. I am teaching social action for the first time this semester. It's our online courses have a slightly different academic calendar, so it'll actually be an 8-week course that's starting mid-October, but I can maybe talk more about how I'm navigating having an 8-week course and an online course later on.
Great.
Hi, everyone. Elena White, she, her pronouns. I work at the Massachusetts College of Art and Design, and I'm the Associate Director for the Center for Art and Community Partnerships. And I'll be co-teaching a social action course in the spring. I was part of the summer cohort and sort of did a light version of this last spring before we actually learned fully about the model. So we're sort of deepening the work and looking forward to hearing from others.
Great. Oh, Ariane. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ariane Schrader. I'm a professor of psychology at Marable College in East Tennessee. And I was also part of the summer cohort, and it really helped me to begin to shift my thinking beyond community engagement, which I've been comfortable with, towards social action, which I have been less comfortable knowing how to do. So this has been an opportunity for me to develop my own skill set. I didn't feel ready to launch for an upcoming fall course after the Summer Institute. I just didn't feel like I had enough time. I would love to connect with those in the region, like Stephanie, I think is in Tennessee. Part of the challenge, I think, was knowing how the courses I teach are focused on child trauma, poverty, and inequality, to tackle complicated state politics and regional politics. I'd love to talk to others who live in complicated landscapes like that. And so I look forward to really learning all about your journey so I can also do the same.
Great. Angie, Austin, and Emily.
Hey everyone, Angie Buckner. I am at San Jose State and I am in the Public Health and Recreation Department. I'm teaching a class this fall called Health Advocacy and Social Action. And I did participate in the Summer Institute, and I haven't taught a health activism course before on this campus, but I have led in my pre-academic life, led a lot of advocacy campaigns in the community. And I have been so excited to get back to this work that I had forgotten how much I had missed it in like the time that I've been in academia, that I am just like, I'm finding myself enthralled with the process again, and so excited to hear what students are interested in and what they want to do. It's been really fulfilling in the 3 weeks that I've been doing it.
Yeah, definitely agree with Angie there. Hey everyone, my name is Austin Harrison. I was also in the Summer Institute, and I'm an associate professor of urban studies with Stephanie at Rhodes College. So Marian, happy to talk about our social action class. Scott and Bobby helped me in the Summer Institute combine an existing urban policy and politics course and introduce social action elements to it. So I'm doing about half and half, and I can talk more about that. We have 4 active campaigns that we have going on in that class. So.
Emily, you ready? There you
Oh,
go.
yes, sorry, I forgot I was next.
It's okay.
Hi, I'm Emily Lynn. I'm a program director of the Practicing Democracy Project at the Harvard Kennedy School, where I work with Marshall Gans. I think Marshall's going to talk about his classes, so I won't steal his thunder.
Great, thanks. All right, Ashley, Kate, Karen, and then we'll end with Marshall. So Ashley first.
All right. Oh goodness, my camera's awful. I'm Ashley Nichols. I'm an associate professor at Kent State University in the School of Peace and Conflict Studies, and I teach classes on community organizing. I was involved with the teaching social action back in like 2020, 2021. And then I took a research leave, actually went and worked with Marshall for a year at Harvard. And so I'm back because I was super curious as to what was happening and kind of the evolution of the program, and really curious to be a part of it.
Great, great. So
good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kate Kennedy. I'm a visiting assistant professor at Baldwin Wallace University. I was invited here by Adrian. Thank you so much. I am tasked with creating a certificate program around social innovation and social action. I come from the area of practice, and my dissertation work is actually in local voting behavior and legacy cities. So I'm coming at this from a number of different angles, and I'm so excited to be here. This is the perfect time for me to meet all of you and learn from all of you as I'm developing this program.
Awesome, awesome. Karen.
Yeah, good morning, everybody, or afternoon, I guess. My name is Karen Bartlett, and I am actually not associated with any universities. I'm a former student of Scott's in a precursor program that he developed at CU Boulder a few years ago. And I just reconnected with Scott and learned about what he was up to and want to learn more. I'm actually an entrepreneur, and I'm really interested to learn about other applications of this model. I do a lot of, I work with what I call entrepreneurial activists. So people doing social justice work through business. And so what are other ways that we can bring this social action model to folks who are committed to this work? So thanks for having me.
Great. And I'll just say real briefly, so when Scott and I, so I'm not a doer of this stuff, I do other pieces of the higher ed part, but met Scott and said, oh, we need to spread that model in the network I'm part of, but also just nationally. And we started doing stuff together, mostly sort of one day or half day workshops. And then Scott was on a panel with Marshall and a couple other folks. And I knew Marshall's name and knew a little bit about, and I was a little bit nervous because I don't do this branch of the work. And it couldn't have been a nicer guy, nicer, welcoming, and we've been following him. He's been following us, and we chat whenever we can. And I'm really glad you're here, Marshall. And I'm also glad some of your team members, your colleagues are here as well.
Muted. Thanks, Bobby, and hi, Scott. And Scott, I had a wonderful conversation with your son, by the way. I just wanted to, yeah, really terrific. So congratulations on that. And hi, Ashley, as well, and others. So we teach organizing classes in the spring. We do an online class, which tends to be mostly with practitioners, and we do an offline class, which is mostly with our students here. And we've been piloting a version of the class at Stanford, and it'll be taught for the second time this year. And we've also been reorganizing our organizing class to give particular focus to developing self-governing leadership teams as at the core of organizing work. Great. And it's great to see this work go on.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think everybody should have a link to the mural board. If you don't, just put in the chat and I'll put it up again. I'm just going to put it up on the screen. As I said earlier, the Winter Institute is here. You can click on this button. Maybe I click on the whole thing and it'll take you. Yeah, it'll take you there. So it's not hard to find it. But what we want to do now is sort of have folks who are teaching this semester talk a little bit about how it's going. Reva Brown is on a retreat, so she actually can't make it. So we can't hear from her at this point. Now, these are all the actual syllabi. So you can, again, double click on it or click on this button here download it, and you can take a good look at how people, everybody said they would be happy to share it. So if it's okay, I'm just going to go along. I think there's an alphabetical order. But here it's just kind of real briefly what's happened so far, what's coming next. And if your students have chosen their campaigns, more specifically, you know, who are the targets, what are the demands, and do they have they defined their well, have they defined the demand and also who the target is? So Angie, would you just be able to share a little bit?
Sure. So my class started off a little bit slower than maybe I wanted it to, because the class is called Special Topics and students didn't know what the topic was. And so I didn't want to show up on day one assuming that they knew. So we approached the getting started a little bit slower. They didn't know what they were getting into, and I was a little bit nervous presenting them with what they were getting into without them knowing that too far in advance. And because I decided to teach this class in July, I wasn't as far along in my planning and organized well in advance enough to send them the information as soon. I also didn't get attached to the class until like a few days before the class, so I didn't even know who the students were who were in there. So I was a little bit reluctant, but we spent the first day talking about advocacy and social action and had them do a few activities and had them speak about what they're interested in. And the way that I did it, I kind of wanted to I wanted them to feel like they were getting into social action, but I wanted to do it a little bit light. And so I had them design a poster if they were going to go to a rally, and what would their poster say on it? And it got them talking about what they were interested in. And by the end of class, I was so surprised and so pleasantly excited about their the way that they spoke about being activists and really wanting to do advocacy work. No longer at all nervous that they were going to be hesitant to be in the class. The opposite. They were so excited about an opportunity to put some of their knowledge and their passions into action that they couldn't wait for the next class to come and make it a little bit further. So that was great, because I think it could have gone in many directions, but it worked in my favor. I did decide to use Mural Board, so I got the educational account for that and stuck with kind of that as an overview, as a tool to use in class. It's been working okay. What I like about it is that students are getting the hang of it, and they are now seeing how they can enjoy learning from each other in that same shared space. So I've been liking that. My class is full-ish. I've got 23 students. They're all public health students. They're all in their senior year, and they have started to whittle down their interests to 4 areas. So it looks like I've got 4 groups that we're going to be working on. A group that's going to be working on reproductive health. They've decided that they're going to partner with an organization that's on campus that's already affiliated with Planned Parenthood, working towards something related to the policy that was passed in California last year to ensure access to menstrual products throughout campus. And the student club that's already working on campus has wanted to just double check that access is really being provided in the ways that it's most accessible to students. I'm not yet sure how their demands are going to evolve yet and what they might be looking at, but because there's already a student group on campus that's what they're doing, they were excited to try to partner with them. I've got another group that's going to be trying to work towards using a model that for improving nutrition on campus, nutritional offerings through the food services that are available on campus. They want to start the process of the UC Berkeley implemented a policy a few years ago to ensure that there were options in all campus events, options for different types of food and nutritional food, high nutritional food. So
can I pause you there, Angie?
Yeah.
I think I realize that in the interest of time, but we're not gonna be able to cover all their campaigns. This is going to take too long. So what I'm gonna ask folks to do is, and this is a good excuse, there's a good time to do it, is on the mural board, those of you who and she was part of the summer group. This was an initial rough draft of what our course would look like. It's not necessarily what's going to finally look like. But at the bottom of each of these is a section for notes. If you could do a sticky note for each of the campaigns, and then later in the semester, if they do a poster or something, upload the poster, something, any artifacts, an article might be about it, if there's a video done or a news story, just use this space to share. But that was good because we got at least a representative of two of the campaigns. As we go around the room, let's stick with one campaign. Just tell us the titles of the others, and then if we have time, we can get a little more depth on that. Because I know in the later sessions, we'll definitely have opportunity to hear more about how a campaign's working or not working. So if that's okay, we'll do it that way. So the next person in our listing here, hold on a second, I just lost my place, is Adrian Griffin. Adrian, you want to talk a bit about how yours is going, or
Yeah.
how it's designed?
Yeah, so again, it's a academic year-long program and co-curricular. The students are compensated $500 a semester if they do all of their components of the program. And it's a tiny group this year. I think that's been a little bit of one of the challenges, but in some ways it's nice because I think they'll get to know each other quite a bit. We've only got 9 students right now. And I pushed it back a week later. So we've only had 1 meeting so far, 2. What's been good though, is that I feel like because it is co-curricular, like I'm going to try and take them to a city council meeting. I'm part of a local giving circle and they're really excited to go to that next week. So we're trying to do some off-campus community building activities as well too. They went to a service fair my office hosted, and I gave them prompts of like talk with X number of orgs there to try and build alliances as well. And so trying to plug them into existing things that are happening. And then something I'm also doing that could be a consideration is last year, our students, they've felt like student government doesn't do anything. I don't know if that's other campuses get that too, but I've talked with our student government president, and I'm going to invite her to one of our meetings to kind of share what she's been hearing with students for concerns on campus, and also just talk about some of the processes for how to get an idea elevated within student government, because I do think that that could be a resource for them that we've never really made that connection happen. We've only encouraged it in the past. And I'm really excited about Kate too, because she'll be more in the curricular side. And that's been a little bit of a challenge, is kind of recruitment with the co-curricular space, especially with how much students are juggling. And it's made me wonder if this is better suited in a class or condensed into a semester, because students can more easily block it into their schedule. And if that could increase some of our participation numbers going forward. And then, so I think just the other challenge is that we're down staff members right now. So I think I've been behind in launching things myself. So this is going to be a little bit of a build as we go semester in some ways.
So I'm glad you did the what's working. I think you're the only example right now of a co-curricular workshop series in our group. We're aware of a couple other ones out there, so we might revisit that. Austin, can you talk a bit about how your course is set up at this point?
Yeah. So during the Institute, I mentioned during the intro a little bit, I was taking over an urban politics course. So this is the first time teaching it. And so I wanted to maintain some of the content specific aspects of the course, but introducing what I'm kind of calling an urban policy and action portfolio. Since the course wasn't advertised as social action, I was encouraged to not, kind of require students to do social action. So the way I've set it up is I gave students 2 options of ways to kind of apply what we were talking about in our content days on Tuesday. So it's Tuesday, Thursday class. So Tuesdays are kind of our content days. Thursdays are kind of our action days, right? I call them like talking and walking days, right? So like talking the talk on Tuesdays and like doing the thing on Thursdays. And on our, and so with the Thursday piece, I gave students the option between participating in social action or what I see as the alternative to collective action, which is kind of individual sort of watchdogging or like going to a bunch of meetings and trying to, as what Scott calls kind of meeting mode, right? I think those are like two theories of change. The good news is to those of us on this call, all 17 of the students selected to work on a social action campaign.
Oh, very good. Because I remember that was your compromise because your board, your department chair said you can't require them all because they didn't have any warning.
Yeah, but they all wanted to. So like others, Angie was mentioning, they were all excited about it, and I, used Scott's template email to kind of crowdsource over the summer 5 campaigns. So we had 5 off-campus campaigns come and pitch last week, and then of those, students selected to be in 4. Every campaign has at least 3. I think our biggest campaign has 6. So I'll talk a little bit. I'm filling in the sticky notes right now, so I'll name all 4 of them, but I'll talk the most about, because I think this also gets to Marion's question around state policy dynamics, because our biggest and most popular campaign is a statewide campaign led by a group that's based out of Nashville, but works statewide, called Free Hearts. They organize formerly incarcerated individuals and families of incarcerated, and they're working Amendment 3 on the Tennessee ballot this year will remove all instances of legalized slavery through the criminal justice system in our state constitution. So that's their campaign. And so students are working to do, GOTV work, to do GIS kind of, they will have some interests. Some students have, I also teach a GIS class, so we have some students that have kind of mapping capabilities. So we're doing some like smart organizing, like showing areas of potential impact for canvassing events, that kind of stuff. And then the other 3 campaigns, we have the Memphis Tenants Union that's working to do a right to counsel. They're fighting to expand a right to counsel pilot in General Sessions Court on housing issues. And then we have the Black Clergy Collaborative, which is a new interfaith action coalition that was started in 2020. They're doing a campaign on payday lending and policy around that. And then our 4th one is a group is trying to revive Bike Walk Memphis, a pedestrian advocacy group. Pedestrian fatality is a big issue in Memphis. So there's a group, I think 4 students that have signed up to help them start that organization again. So those are our 4.
Great, thank you. That's pretty awesome. Lucas.
Great. Gosh, let's see what is working. We chose our campaigns on Wednesday. I'm in communication studies, so we're going to get some performance theory in there eventually. But for the most part, I've been more or less sticking with the book as they launch their campaigns in the first half of our semester. So we're in this black box theater space that no one wants to teach in because it's too hot. But the benefit was I brought some of my kids multicolored chalk, and I had to pick the campaigns. Anyone could get up and write something they were passionate about, an issue on the wall, and then you could go and decorate next to something that you wanted to enhance. So we had this sort of multicolored mural thing going on in the classroom, and then I said, okay, go to the thing that you drew that you like the most, and then we had conversations in those areas kind of based. So it was sort of a mural board thing, but like in person. So anyway, that's how they chose their pieces, and then we refined those this week. So I have 3 campaigns going, and then challenges, just normal challenges of teaching a new course for the first time, I would say, trying to stay one step ahead of the students when you don't really know what's happening yourself. But I think that's normal, right? But anyway, so that's a bit, and anyway, yeah, but they were really fired up to get to work and to have their meetings and planning meetings on Wednesday. So far so good. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's gonna be Walt and Ann, and then we'll finish this up with Scott, and I'm gonna put up Scott's mural board for the class, a copy of it. You can wander around, see how that class, as he's talking, you can see what he's doing. But Walt, if you can go first, then Ann.
Thank you very much, Bobby. I was afraid I was going to have, I looked at the syllabus, I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to have to follow Scott. So I appreciate that. I started my first day of class with like, okay, here's what we're doing. And we started, I mean, similar to Angie, we started like pitching ideas and thinking about things. And then on the second day of class, we had some folks come in and pitch, and the students that had ideas kind of pitched those. And we selected our campaigns Tuesday this week. So we went from sort of 8 ideas down to 5 they were serious about, and then we ended up with 3 campaigns. So one of them is Title IX training. The other 2 are campus communication. Students not feeling like they know what's going on campus very well. And the other one is recycling, and there are 3 demands. Were actually like 3 campaigns, so we sort of honed that down to 1 campaign, and they're looking at a free score. But the Title IX folks are really they're very passionate about the sense that Title IX training is really a blow off on campus, and it's not. They don't feel like it's given very seriously, so it's not taken very seriously, and so it's going to be interesting to do that. 2 quick stories. One was I had somebody come in and pitch, and they were saying like, well, this person's, whatever, they asked if they could do this. And I told the students, we're not asking, we're demanding. So I used the language of Scott. We're making demands, we're not asking. The other thing was, after they picked their campaigns on Tuesday, a couple of them were really excited. Like, oh, we need to call this person. I'm like, whoa, stop. We've not selected our targets yet. So they were ready to get going. So I'm working through that process, and we'll select targets this coming week. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Actually, I'll correct myself. And then Joe, because Joe, I don't know if Joe's syllabus, but she's doing something this semester. Go ahead, Ann.
All right. So we just started this week focusing on our topics. I had them learn like a crash course in health policy before we dug in. But they're already really excited. We've narrowed down to 4 topics. And they're actually very similar to Angie's. So common themes among college students. And I was just really impressed. They got into groups. We kind of talked about ideas. They got into groups, and they started forming group chats, and they were ready to go immediately. And we decided that they're all going to focus on campus issues, since this is my first time teaching it. And then they kind of know best what's happening on campus. They have connections to organizations on campus. And so that's kind of our trial, is doing things on campus first.
Awesome. And I might have made 2 mistakes. So Joe, if you can go, and then Paul, I think Paul, you were saying you were teaching this semester. So that if I missed anybody else, let me know, because I don't want to miss anybody. But Joe, why don't you go first, and then Paul?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I haven't actually started yet, but I've been getting things in place. And rather than using mural board, something that we use here at Hiram that every student is more familiar with is we use ePortfolios, which is a platform called Digication. And so today, actually, what I set up was what will be the template for group campaign ePortfolios. Every group will have their own that they can then share. And because I'm working within the 8-week, this course is difficult to teach, just in a semester, carry out a campaign. So my students will stop short of launching their campaigns, but they'll have a complete campaign planned. And then because we have the ePortfolio, they're going to get feedback from another faculty member that's, in addition to me, who has expertise on social action and/or the specific topic that they've chosen, as well as a representative of a community organization that does work around the issue they've chosen. And so they'll get that feedback to continue to think about how they could develop it and potentially launch it. But given the time frame, that's how I'm navigating that and kind of the pieces that I'm putting in place right now.
Got it. Thank you. Paul.
Yes, I think I'm dealing with, and maybe not through the woods yet, with something that Austin spoke about, that there was a structure for this course that I sort of negotiated on a way of really beginning with week 3, having the social, having the structure of the class come into play. And I think if there's anything that I'm wrestling with now is, I think part of those first few weeks ended up with students sharing their own story, a particular social injustice that they wanted to address. And any tips people have on aggregating that, putting them in a position to pitch soothing feelings for students who may not end up having people join something they're passionate about. I'm doing my best in these first few weeks to steer them towards collective work. Thank you, Scott. That's the piece for me, is getting them in the pitch place. I know that they'll feel relief working with each other for the most part, and they already really like each other, and it's a great group. But that's, I'm about to make that pivot into the meat of the course that I learned this summer, and help there would be much appreciated.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, so did I miss anybody else besides Scott? Okay, good. So I'm putting in the chat the mural board, a copy of the mural board that for Scott's class this semester. I'll pull it up on my screen and share it just so Scott can talk off of it. And Scott, just tell me where to walk around.
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say to everyone what I'm hearing you all talk is that we're all involved in a policy change movement by doing this, right? We're trying to change a policy. We're trying to have it so that all colleges have this experience across the nation, and that actually is a change movement that we're all involved in. And so it's just, and my belief and Bobby's belief is that if that's going to happen, there's a couple of principles. One is that there's this very loose framework, what we mean by social action. And you already know all, because most of you went through the Institute, but just generally, right, half the class is dedicated to student campaigns that they launch, and that 4 or 5 themes are talked about: building power, issue development, research, campaign implementation. And so but other than that, it's whatever you all decide. And as I read your syllabi, what was so cool was like, some people used my book, some people didn't. Some people had things I'd never seen before. I'm like, oh, I have got to watch that video, because that is like, I'm really interested in that. And then I loved, Lucas, your idea of like, a mural board. We're all going to learn from each other. And I ultimately think that's how that we'll be successful as we're trying to expand this model out. So I just want to say that first. So I've taught this class 30 plus times. It's not fair if you're teaching it the first time to see what I'm going to show you, but I only show it to you to say that I am constantly learning about how to do it better. And I'm constantly trying to deal. I mean, I have 27 students in my class. I have, I can't tell you, I teach, so I'm a sociologist. I've had 3 students walk up to me after class individually and say, thank you for having this class, because I've been in all these classes, we never do anything. We just talk about change, but don't do it. And we talk about injustice, but don't do it. So thank you. So that's my experience, is that they're excited. And I always email all my students, say, how's the class going for you? And another 10 people said that in emails, just like how excited they are about being, and let me say this, they're scared too. Because when you ask them to say, we're going to say demand rather than ask, and we're going to actually choose a target like the president or the vice provost or the provost or some community organization, like the city council, so that they're a bit scared. So let me just say 5 campaigns. Interesting enough, because if you teach it more than once, then they have the option of active campaigns. 2 active campaigns have joined. They selected. One was an inactive campaign. It had gone on a year before, but it was actually inactive. And then 2 brand new campaigns. We had 2 people pitch from community organizations. I reached out to a ton of folks. We had 2 pitch, and 1 was selected on rent control, to change rent control in our city. And so that's going to be a big campaign. And the other one was a group of high school students that are organizing to change around when they miss class, when they go to immigration appointments with their parents or for themselves, that counts as an absence, an excused absence, like a medical absence, not like an unexcused absence. So that's going to be a change in a policy at the district level. So I just want to show you this, and then I'll be quiet. But if you go back just a little bit, Bobby, if you go just to that, so the name of a just any name of a campaign, choose the one down below that one right there, down. So there's the names. So I did this. I didn't have this even because I didn't use mural board last year. Bobby introduced it to me as well, right? So I started using it. And so last year, this was created, this whole thing was created by every week we build. And so it's just those little boxes that we had in the up top, right, of what the classes are now on the left. And what is cool about this is that as I lock all these boxes, because that's, 2 months away, like building power is next, research is in 2 weeks, group dynamics is in 3. But they know there's a process they're going to go through, and I open them up. Like I opened up this one yesterday on stakeholder interviews. Who, in that, I think that that second chapter, they have to interview stakeholders. So they've already identified there are 2 stakeholders they're going to interview. Now, if you go to the left, Bobby, you can see that the demands are right there from the last group. That's actually the demands that came in with the Chris Logan, the organizer. So they haven't put them in because they're meeting with Chris as we speak in these next few days with Sacred Heart. And they're going to, talk to them and actually help hopefully make them a little bit more specific than they are. And so that's what students, because they're learning how to organize, can actually be helpful with community organizations as they come up with their demands. So that'll be a process that the organization and the students, they haven't named themselves. Right now, Sacred Heart Community Service is the largest anti-poverty organization, but they'll create a student wing of that organization. And then they'll drop in their Instagram and their flyers and their photos of the group in there, and they'll do their power map. But it's all there for them to see in one shot, and then they can go through that, and I'll open those up as the time comes. And then the campaign activities and actions below, they'll put their activities there. There's the whole thing. And I make this distinction between a campaign activity like flyering, tabling, giving an organizational wrap to a school, and an action. And what I mean by action, a direct action, such as, marching, such as a street theater in front of the president or the city council, where they're actually doing an action. I cover like 15 actions that they can choose from. And then there are actually more than that, actually. Okay, so I'll be quiet, and that's what I'm up to.
No, it's interesting in that case. We did the mural board actually because I think it was last spring, they had to be online for the first 2 weeks. So how are you going to get them to choose the campaign? So we sort of winged it. I'm tech support. So and we started with little small boxes, but by the end of the semester, we had to stretch it out to make all that room. And that then became the template for the start of this semester. They're fun, right? Because you get to see as they add their photos and other things on, you can see a lot right away. We have a couple options here. We have 3 minutes left. So let me just first make sure that you see what we're doing next and what we need to hear from you on. And then people want to hang out a little longer, that would be great, but I want to respect everybody's time. So our agenda here, we have this Winter Institute. So share that, double click on this or click on this, go to the doodles and let us know what days and times might work for you in October, and also a second one in November. The idea here is that 3 o'clock Eastern time on Fridays is always going to be bad for somebody who's got something that time. So we want to move the day at time around a little bit just to allow other people to show up whose semester schedule wouldn't allow them. So please do that. And we'll send an email reminder out on those 2 items. If you've got your course syllabus and want to share it, post it or email it to us and we'll put it up. And again, if you've got campaigns starting and as they start, be great to put that information, at the bottom of your mural board so people can see it. And this will be, we'll keep going back to this same mural board as this meetup group works. It'll just be the common ground for us at this point. So I heard some strengths and weaknesses. Part of what I'm curious about, frankly, is how this group, either the in-person live version right now or the online version, what other kinds of help people need. That's one. The second thing is, as we identify as you identify the campaigns, I want to look at them because period poverty is now happening on at least 3 campuses that I know of that we've been associated with. So let's try to have those folks talk to each other. What's your tactics? What are your strategies? How are you doing your thing? And that's A. B, it's just fun for them to know they're not alone and they're part of something. Even if it's 2 or 3 campuses, that feels like a movement my experience with students, they don't always get that feeling that, being part of something larger. So if you can put those up, maybe email them to us. We'll call through it, email back to you. We'll let you guys do the invite, but just to be aware that there's some common ground there. But a month from now sounds like a good idea to come together and just share a little bit more. And maybe what we do is we get a little more stuff documented. We can refer to that. We'll try to get it ahead of time so people have a little more time. But I'll pause there and just let people make comments. And again, wander off as it's now 4, at least our East Coast time. So wander off if you need to wander off, but stay on if you are able to. Any comments? Or in the chat, there's some things. Great. So Marshall, I know you've been teaching online for a long time. And I'm interested in the live class that you're teaching, Marshall. You mentioned they're doing, well, in the chat, you mentioned that you sort of form the group very quickly and then support that group over the rest of the weeks. And are you finding that that's like get them together quickly means they have more to work with as they go along? Because now they're doing the work. You're muted, I think.
We try to facilitate their formation in a leadership team with a shared purpose, set of their norms and their roles and so forth, in order to then, based on that, develop their strategy and their campaign and then launch. And so what we did this time was take half of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then the next half of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so that and in between time was used to talk with potential constituency, so that then by the end they were ready to launch a campaign.
Oh, interesting. So that like half-day retreat is kind of what I'm envisioning. You say half of they can get a lot done in half a day.
No, it's half of Friday and all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
Oh, so it's 2.5 days.
Yeah, and it's sort of bookended. And the nice thing was it didn't conflict with other classes. And so we had a bunch of people sign up for this. And because we've been experimenting with different ways to try to both do the organizing formation stuff and the campaign stuff. And so this spring, we'll do the same thing I described and then follow it with 6 weeks of campaign coaching.
That's interesting because what we found with the teaching social action webinar series, the once a month, which sounded more reasonable, actually was harder because it was just so spread out and life happens. So we were better off this summer bringing people in for all afternoon for 3 days, pack it all in, make them start doing stuff right away by posting their initial drafts. Was much more successful. And as we think about these campus co-curricular ones outside the classroom, carving those retreat times that, whether they get the whole 2.5 days or not, but they can get a lot more work done in that. You can go through a couple of different modules, essentially, it sounds like.
We called it a course shop, and because it's sort of in between. And sometimes the intensity, you can forge relationships and go deep and so forth in ways that you just can't in space, So in the first one, we do intro coaching and then relationship storytelling, relationship building, and team structure. And then the second half, we do strategy and action and link narrative. So it's sort of phased in that way because we invest a lot of time with them, encouraging them to do one-on-ones with each other, stories of self with each other, to decide who they want to work with, not simply based on an issue, but on shared values, so that they have wonderful flexibility. Wonderful. And it's really been interesting experiment. We're happy to share any of this.
Yeah, I think that would be good. We could if you have a syllabus or something that we could add to the list, and if you or other colleagues are still part of these conversations, that's another way to continue that. Well, the other folks on the call, questions, thoughts?
Yeah, just any questions you had.
Is it fun? Austin, is it awesome? Is it like you get 17 to sign up?
That was, yeah, that to me was a big day. Yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I think in Memphis, we have an opportunity to kind of using, Scott's model, which isn't a far cry from, a lot of other organizing tactics, to kind of teach the organization some of this stuff too. I mean, I think, that's, I think that's kind of our challenge is, I think we're kind of meeting, we're a little, I don't know a good way to say this. It's not that we're over their heads. It's just that I don't think that there's as much experience with this form of direct social action in Memphis. I think a lot of, and community organizers that have come to speak to our classes have mentioned that, you say the word power in Memphis and it starts like scaring people, let alone like beginning to actually try to build and operationalize that power, right? So, so
That's so funny because I feel like Memphis at one time was a big social justice and power spot.
Oppression works, y'all. Oppression works. No, it's not that anymore. There's a very tight, centralized power structure, I think, that tightened in response to that time period you're talking about. So
yeah. And then Lucas, in your class, I'm sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Well, Austin asked a specific question about deliverables. I thought I could just answer it right here if everyone's okay with that.
Yeah.
You want to know about deliverables, and as I understand the question, you're asking about what can the students deliver, right? So to me, what they can deliver is, besides just being a pretty darn good resource for the campaigns, if it's off campus, I'm thinking you're talking about the organizational. So they're going to bring, bottom line is I don't want to be too confident, but my students are going to help that Sacred Heart, which hasn't run that many campaigns, and the campaigns they've run with my students were in the lead. So they're going to help them without being braggadocio or without being like they think they know everything, but just humbly offer these ideas. So I think they're going to, one of the delivers is some well-trained people, and then a whole host of things like on the research, right? They're going to deliver a target analysis. They're going to deliver a power map of the community. They're going to deliver a historical overview of all that's, in your community, for example, like going back to that other point, like there has been, a very powerful movement in Memphis with Dan Nash and others right there. And so they're, what's the history of in that community around these things? So I think that's it. And then I think the other thing that they do is they link the various organizations together because they're out talking to stakeholders all the time. So they can be helpful and provide an energy that older folks sometimes can't. They provide a lot of energy, of that youth energy. So I think those are the kind of deliverables that I'm hoping that they could deliver for you, for your organizations if they ask. But I would ask the organizations to say, make an investment in the students. Right.
Yeah. And that's it, is we're having those meetings with organizations this week to define like what are the things that we can give them. And when I say target analysis, when I say power map, I wanted to see, I know there was some stuff on the mural board, but I wanted to see if there were things that we could show them from past San Jose State.
If you go back to the, Bobby, can you just share that with them? Yeah. I look at too, it's our old, so.
Are you talking about last semester?
Yeah, last semester's mural board. It has the historical overview of every one of their campaigns, historical overview, target analysis, power map. So, they have, they can use that and say, these are the kind of things that people will do, but I'll also email a couple of really good ones too. So you can see that.
That'd be great. Thanks, Scott. Saving me a call. Appreciate
it. And I think that's what I do. Like when we're working with Sacred Heart, and Chris, I say, make an investment, don't just come once and then that's it. Can you send you or some of your other organizers, once every 3 weeks, once every month, so they can be right there with the students in the class? And they generally do that because they say, okay, we're going to, it's time of ours, but we're making an investment in the next generation.
Yeah.
I think that helps. Yeah.
That's
Any
great.
other questions or thoughts? What do you think, Aaron? You think, I think in communication studies, Lucas is right there in communication studies. Forget giving it to someone else. You could do it.
Well, listen, I would love to be able to do it. Honestly, I wish I just don't have the time, but I am trying to find a faculty member. I'm actively recruiting. And so being able to be here is going to be able to, be able to draw in a faculty is my goal, is to draw in a faculty member or maybe more, right? To me, it's important that it's here at Stockton. I would love to be able to do it. I do think there is a little fear for people who are in non-tenure positions.
Sure.
If I were closer to retirement, maybe, as the kids say, you got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes. So.
And we talk about that. It's in the book. It's in the preface book. There's in both of the books that I've written, that point in particular. And I think you can frame it in a way. It's not that I don't get looked at by the university, because I do as a full professor, but I share them with my syllabus with them. And I say, and at one point, my dean asked me, would you be put in there a statement about liberal, conservative, libertarian? They could choose anything they want. And I put that in, fine. I have no problem with that. They can choose whatever they want. I think I draw a line on, for me, like if it's, can't be violent. So the faculty, the administration is happy about that. And as Bobby says, is that we're going to, instead of the students coming to you, if it's directed at you, at the administration, instead of 15 different demands, it'll have 2 or 3 well thought out demands. And that we train them to not have, ad hominem attacks, that you're going to have a better trained, because you're going to have, if you look at that, read chapter 1 of the second book on change for the faculty and the staff, it's focused on that history of change. And they're going to be well trained rather than, not well trained. And that'll be a benefit. Now that's a hard sell sometimes. I hear you. And, but they haven't, I'm still teaching it.
Yeah. So on that theme, Adrian and Lucas, Lucas, you have campaigns. Are any focused on San Jose State as the target? Any demands on the university?
They're still coming up with their targets, but I think so they're still taking shape. One for sure is about more trees and greenery on campus. And that's a big group. That's about 9, I think, or 10 students that are going to work on that. So it's topical. They started talking about water and drought, and then that's where it evolved to was, there should be more trees on campus for all of these special reasons.
Yeah, that's great.
So that one's definitely on campus. Reproductive rights, I don't know if that's going to be on campus or higher up. And then there's a big old mental health group. And so I think that's also going to be about on-campus resources and support.
Yeah.
I ask for the simple reason that there's always this question of, guys, this stuff's for junior faculty, for other folks, like, is this, professionally a challenge, So I want to ask Adrian the same question. So for you as a staff member, do you have what's your sense of that with as these, I don't know if I can't remember how far along they are in defining their campaigns, but.
I actually think that they are ahead of me in some ways, because I selected them at the end of last summer. And if I could have gone back in time, I kind of wish I would have had them read the book over the summer, because half of them are like, we want to do this. And I was thinking I'd need to front load some training, get them set up, but I feel like they want to launch. And so now I'm trying to get the other students caught up, but there's some that are, and I think also, I don't know when to do this because I want to empower them too, but just from talking with some of them individually, I felt like they just wanted a little encouragement to go forward on their idea. Like one of the students, she was thinking about trying for a campus polling location. And then she's like, privately, she told me, I was also thinking about trying to have election day be asynchronous classes. And I was like, I think that would be a really good campaign to go for. And she just needed that nudge. And another student wants to have, and this is kind of the thing too, because I'm sort of taking a past curriculum. This will be like a bridge building year into where I want it to eventually go. So I told them change projects more broadly before summer. So some of them are thinking like mental health support groups that are peer led. We don't have any on campus, but how to like weave that into a policy change, so to speak. But so it might be more open-ended. but one student wants to have like Black business, like a Black business bazaar on Fridays or every other Friday. And I'm thinking she could also even try and think of research within the university, like how do we even support minority-owned businesses in a lot of our vendor processes. So I think some of it might take a little bridging, but they have a lot of energy now.
And my
I
thing
feel like
that,
I need to catch up.
Adrian, my thing on that is I think it's fine that they do that, like that project, but to me, the policy part of that would be institutionalized every year, right? That every year there's going to be, so when they leave the campus, it's still going on, right? It's still happening. So there's a policy change that they're gonna, the university has made.
Yeah, and we do tell them now, like it has to be sustainable and you have to collaborate. And I didn't require them this year to work in groups, although I think, again, after this bridging year, that's what I'll put into the expectations, but they do have to collaborate with another entity on campus or community entity. And I think that's hard when they just have like a lot of these passion areas, like was said earlier, of how to keep their energy, but still funnel them into movement.
Specificity.
Yes, yeah.
Deliverables, right? It's really
Yeah.
about deliverables and making something that's attainable. Those small wins or those low hanging fruits, right?
Yeah.
Are some of the things that, yeah. So, all right, guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Better sign off as well.
Yeah, so everybody, so thanks a lot, and we'll see you in a month anyway, I hope.
Yeah, thanks for
Talk to you
doing
soon
this.
too, Aaron. Be good.
Thanks, yep.
I liked your idea too, Bobby, about like what are common campaigns, because I'm hearing similarities too.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Angie and I are already back and forth coordinating
good.
reproductive rights campaigns for San Jose State.
And then Lucas, connect to, Claire is there doing it, but they've got, I think that campaign has like 6 or 7 new students. So make sure, your students reach out to my students.
Okay.
That are, obviously, because that, to me, there's like the inner campus working together as we get more than just one class, and then the intra campuses can start working together.
Awesome.
Terrific.
All right, be good, everybody.
I'll let them know.
Everyone.
See you soon.